What's up guys, Matt here with Lake Erie Arms. I've got a couple cool guns to show you today. We are looking at the Taran Tactical Innovations Glock Combat Master. We've got two different variants of those today. We have the Copperhead right here and the JW3. We're gonna be talking about both of them. They're very similar guns, but there are a few differences. Now we're gonna be breaking these down and really talking about this from a gun guy's perspective, someone who appreciates the Glock platform. Now, if you've been on the internet in the last 10 years, even if you're not in the gun space, you have more than likely seen the marketing juggernaut that has been around Taran Tactical Innovations and the John Wick franchise, pushing a lot of this product along with those films and kind of working hand in hand to make a really awesome marketing package. But the reality is a lot of people out there are wondering, are these guns actually worth it? Are they just marketing tools for their movies, or are these actually legit setups? So that's what we're gonna do today, guys. We're actually gonna shoot these guns. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna see what makes them different from a stock Glock. Is this stuff that you could realistically do on your own, or is it worth it to actually go out and purchase one of these products? I've been lucky enough to be able to shoot this one. I've got a few hundred rounds through it already, and we're gonna talk about some of the things that come in these packages, so stay tuned for that. With a gun like this, it's really kind of hard to know where to start because they do so much to this thing. It's basically not even a Glock anymore. But rest assured, at its core, this gun is a Glock 34 Gen 3. Yes, that Trijicon SRO right there does come equipped on this particular package. Really like this optic. It sits a little farther forward, so you are probably gonna have to clean it maybe a little more often than you would other optics, but honestly, it's a fair trade-off. This thing is robust. It's got a nice big window, and I just pick up my sights so much quicker with this thing, and it keeps me quick on target, and my follow-up shots are even faster. And they went ahead and milled this thing for the optic specifically, so you're not gonna have to deal with any plates or anything. That is right on there the way I like it. Not a big fan of plates personally, and this really just mounts right to the gun, and it's a rock solid connection. I'm actually not gonna talk that much about what is probably the coolest feature on this gun, which is the slide itself and all of the milling work they do on that. It's not because it's not cool, it is cool. And it's not because it's not practical, because there is a practical aspect to it. But the reality is there's so many other awesome things they do with this gun that mean more to me as sort of a utilitarian that I don't even really have much to say. I mean, it's probably one of the nicest looking slides on any custom gun you're gonna find in the industry. The color, the two-tone, sort of brush and mirror look of that, just all the cuts, that Taran Tactical logo, what's not to like? Now, moving down to the actual frame of the gun, this is where all the stuff that I really like comes into play, and they've done a lot. Now, there are a couple differences between the two models I have here on the table, so I will talk about them separately. These Timney triggers are nice, guys. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a Glock guy, I have been for many years. So as you know, I've gotten used to less than ideal triggers. This thing takes all those problems and throws them right out the window. This is not a Glock trigger. This isn't a polished Glock trigger. This isn't an improved Glock trigger. This is not a Glock trigger. This is a competition trigger, but it's also controllable enough that I wouldn't mind carrying something like this. So looking at some of the bolt-on upgrades they have on here, like their magwell and their magazine extensions right here, these are Taran Tactical products that of course you could purchase right now to upgrade your gun today. They really do add some functionality to the gun, not just looks. For example, the magazine well really did aid in allowing me to insert that magazine a little bit quicker. Now, Taran Tactical makes a couple different magazine extensions. It's gonna come with 3 mags. You're gonna get 1 magazine with your +3 for 9mm, and then you're gonna have 2 +5 magazines. And yes, these do come with the extra strength magazine springs. There are some manufacturers out there that make magazine extensions that claim you don't need those stronger springs. I find that that's true at first, but in the ones I've had where I don't replace the spring, after a while it wears out a little quicker than you'd expect, because what you're doing is you're actually making the space that that spring has to encompass longer, but you're not lengthening the spring at all. So while it may reach to the top, over time, you'll see that kind of wear out and it won't have the same springiness, if you will, and you'll start seeing you'll have failures to feed, or maybe the slide won't lock back. And I just think it's a good idea to have that as an upgrade, and they go ahead and they put that in there, whether you're buying this gun and it comes with it, or if you're purchasing the magazine extensions, it comes with that extra strength spring. So both these guns are going to come equipped with the TTI fiber optic front sight and the blacked out rear, which is my personal favorite. I find that it kind of takes a lot of the muss and fuss out of a lot of the different more complicated iron sight solutions out there, and it really just gets down to basic. A high vis front sight, blacked out rear, no distractions, get to work. All right, guys, let's talk about the stippling and the grip work they're doing on these guns. Now, I know it's gonna sound weird, but it's actually one of my favorite parts of these customized guns is what they do with the actual grip. This is your interface with the actual gun. This is what you're actually handling. All this stuff up here, it's important, but the reality is every single time you draw this gun, every single time you shoot this gun, every single time you take a follow-up shot, you are interfacing with this grip. This needs to be a part of you. It needs to be an extension of your hand, and having a good grip can literally make or break that. Okay, so before we talk about what you've probably noticed, let's talk about what you probably didn't notice. Now, as I mentioned before, this is a Glock Gen 3, and a Glock Gen 3 is gonna come with finger grooves. You see any finger grooves on there? No, because they went ahead and they took those off right off the rip. A lot of people like the finger grooves, most people didn't. So they went ahead, took those out of there, and it's immediately gonna make it feel like you have a smaller grip because you do. So for guys or gals with smaller hands, you're gonna find that this gun fits your hand probably a little bit better than the stock Glock would. And for those of you with bigger hands, you're finding that you're able to wrap your hands even better around the gun than you were able to. And of course, this is gonna aid in controllability of the firearm, follow-up shots, all that good stuff, and it's gonna give you a rock-solid grip on the gun. Now, as I talk about all the time, one of the most important things about shooting a pistol is being able to get a nice high grip on the gun. So we want our hands as high on the gun as we possibly can when we are actually shooting. So to be able to do that, they go ahead and they do this undercut right here where they actually take material out from underneath the trigger guard where it meets the grip. This way you can get your hands higher on the gun and have a little more control. Moving right around from there up to the magazine release, you're gonna see that they scalloped that out. Now, what that's actually gonna do is that's gonna allow you to get that magazine out of the gun more easily so you can have that magazine out quicker and without having to break your grip. Now, I wanna talk about one of my favorite features on this gun, and that's gonna be the accelerator cuts. Now, this pistol is gonna boast ambidextrous accelerator cuts for our right and left-handed shooters, and what these are essentially gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and see that they took some material out right in this area right here, and then they stippled it. Now, that may seem simple, but here's what that's actually gonna do for you. That's gonna allow you to go ahead and put that thumb right there on the gun. It's actually gonna give you a reference point for where your thumb needs to sit. It's also gonna allow you to go ahead and put downward pressure so that when you're actually shooting the pistol, you'll have much more control of it and you won't have as much felt recoil. Keeping that recoil down is gonna allow you to have faster follow-up shots, and it's really gonna aid in you shooting a lot quicker and more accurately. Not only did they do the stippling on the side there, but they went ahead and made sure that right there on the top of that ledge, they did it so that you would actually be able to put downward pressure on the accelerator cuts and you wouldn't lose any grip there. One thing that a lot of companies get wrong when they do this is they don't have enough texture right there. It's really just for looks. So when you actually put your thumb on there and actually put pressure on it, it doesn't actually allow you to put that much because it slides right off. This one doesn't do it, and I think they did an excellent job. Now, you have slightly different stipple packages with these two. This one is gonna come with sort of a hybrid stipple package. You're gonna see hand stippling on the back strap and on the front strap, and in the center here, you're gonna see a laser stippling. It looks really nice. It's still good and aggressive, but not quite as aggressive as the back and the front strap where you really need that. Now, they did this mostly for looks on this gun. On the other package, you see they did a full wrap. I think it's much more practical. But for this one, they wanted to go ahead and make sure they got their logo on there, and they were able to make that look really sweet. So I don't think you're really losing anything with this particular package, but for me, I'm probably gonna go with the full wrap. And with that aforementioned full wrap, you're gonna see it's a hand stipple job from front to back to side, 360 degrees, and it's just a really great stipple job. Your hand locks right into it. I really like the stipple package. It feels like sandpaper. For those of you who think that sounds awful, trust me, get your hands on this thing. It's really a fun gun to shoot, and your hand just locks in there and does not want to move. One other area they do go ahead and stipple is going to be right underneath the trigger guard, and the reason they do that is because anywhere your hands make contact with this gun, they want to make sure it's not moving. Right underneath here, your index finger on your support hand is going to be setting up right against that, so this allows it to kind of lock in place so you have no movement while you're shooting the gun. Let me know in the comments, guys, which stipple package on these guns do you prefer? Do you prefer the full wrap hand stippled all the way around, or do you like sort of that breaking it up a little bit and having that cool logo on there? Let me know in the comments. So this may not come with the gun, guys, but as I mentioned before, I really like how the Surefire X300 fits on the Glock 34s. Really cool light, so if you are interested in picking one of those up, I highly recommend that pairing that with this gun. And if you go ahead and get the tan one, I think that would probably look even better. So while this particular package doesn't actually come with the optic, it does come with a Taran Tactical carbon fiber cover right here. So you'll still be looking cool even though you haven't gotten your optic yet. That being said, I would highly recommend going ahead and getting the option with the optic on it because honestly, this is probably one of my favorite optics on the market. All right, so I have about 300 rounds through this particular Combat Master right here. We're just going ahead and we are shooting blazer brass, just your basic cheap stuff out of this thing. Of course, it's a Glock, guys. 0 malfunctions so far, not even one slight hiccup. I will say the only thing I've seen so far is that when you get these guns, and this is really gonna be true of a lot of guns, especially these Glocks, you're gonna see a little bit more stiffness right here, right out of the box. But once you have a few rounds through it, really that kind of just disappears almost immediately. I am going ahead and I am using that slide stop right there. It has that extended slide stop. I don't usually run those on my Glocks, but I'll tell you one thing right now, I have been really enjoying it. I'm thinking about upgrading some of my guns with one of those extended slide locks. All right, let's go ahead and check it out. Yeah. So really enjoying this. The trigger is just, I mean, it's such an upgrade over the Glock trigger, and then that is just keeping me real quick. Haven't had any issues with that. I don't know what else to say, guys. I'm loving this gun. Okay, so this is supposed to be a +5 extension. I had somebody shooting this the other day and they said, oh, I tried to get an extra 5 in there, I couldn't get it. Look, these are 17 round mags +5. That should be a 22, 23, I can do math, right? 22 round magazine right here. Let's go ahead on camera, let's count them out and see what we're working with. All right, we're at 15 so far. I'm realizing right now this is riveting, so maybe we'll fast forward this for you. All right, I'm pretty sure I probably could have gotten that 23rd in there, but I have 22 in here, guys, and there's your proof right there if you weren't counting along. I know numbers are hard. All right, we loaded them up, now let's shoot them. All right, I like this gun. So as you guys can see, it's not just a gimmick, it's not just a marketing campaign. These are actually legit pistols. I'm really digging this gun. This is the one that I'm kind of looking at purchasing on my own. I really like the stipple package, as I mentioned before, and I really just like everything they've done to this gun. Does it look cool? Yeah. Are those movies awesome? Of course. But the reality is, at the end of the day, once all those gimmicks are off to the side, this gun is still a badass piece of equipment that I would be happy to take to the range or even have on my nightstand to protect me and my family.